of those attending this meeting. The recording will be posted on the district website. Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Zima Creason, Board Vice President. This afternoon, we will start with the oath of office for 4 elected board members as a result of the November 8th election. Superintendent Kern.
Thank you, Ms. Creason. And I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. We really appreciate everybody coming out. It means a lot to the individuals who ran and the candidates. We know we have a lot of support here. We have a couple of special folks we want to acknowledge right off the bat. We have Paul Kiefer, Sacramento County Board of Election President and Trustee from Area 3. Where's Paul? Welcome, Paul. We have Joanna Ahola, Sacramento County Board of Education Trustee from Area 4. We have Ash Freeney, City Manager of Citrus Heights. And I'm not sure, he's on my list. I'm not sure I've seen him yet. Tim Schaefer, Mayor of Citrus Heights. If he was here, we didn't see him come in. And I also want to acknowledge Matthew Siccato from Congressman Barra's office as well. Thanks for being here, Matt. This is just a real neat opportunity for us to celebrate our 3 new members and Ms. Creason, who will be continuing on with the board. Just a great opportunity. And I really want to say thank you to these individuals for really putting themselves out there. It's not easy to even run for a seat, but really just respect that these individuals did this. Looking forward to working with them as they represent the school district. And it's, being a school board member is a tough job. It's a really tough job, often a very thankless job. So again, just thank you to each and every one of you for stepping up and stepping into these roles. Now to the official business, we're going to begin and we're going to swear each of these in individually, and we're doing it by trustee area. So I think we have 3, 5, 6, and 7 as the order. So we'll begin by swearing in. As a result of the governing board elections held on November 8th, and with the completion of the official canvass by and receipt of the certificate of facts from the Sacramento County Register of Voters, the oath of office will be administered to elected board members Ben Avey, Zima Creason, Tanya Kravchuk, and Steve Miller. And so our first member that will be sworn in is current board member and Vice President Zima Creason. She is going to be sworn in by Caden Grafina, El Camino Eagle, and her son, as well as Roxy Reading, El Camino football varsity kicker. So come on up.
Ready? I, Zima Creason, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
all and foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
to the Constitution of the United States Constitution,
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
that I will well and faithfully
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I'm about to. Thank you.
Well done, Caden and Roxy. All right, next we have Tanya, if you want to come on up. You want your kids to come up with you? That's okay. Have them come on up. We love kids and crumbs. We're in education.
Thank you, my Christian.
Okay, Dad, stay with. Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Fine.
All right, welcome. All right, if you raise your.
This one.
All right. I, Tanya Kravchuk, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
I, Tanya Kravchuk, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations, Tana.
Of me.
It's okay. I was telling people that we had to take pictures earlier, and when I was 4 years old, I cried and ran from the room. I never wanted to take pictures, so I get it. All right, next up, we have Mr. Ben Avey, who will be sworn in by Joanna Ahola. You don't give Ben that one at all.
All right, is your family up here?
I
Are we
think
ready?
so.
Okay. All right. I, Ben Avey, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
I, Ben Avey, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations, Ben.
Thank you.
All right, and last but not least, Steve Sparky Miller and his wife Nan Miller is going to swear him in. So if you would come on up.
Did you start? I, Steve Miller,
I, Steve Miller,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and
the
defend
Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
the duties upon which I'm about to enter. Yes.
All right. Thank you to everybody. I'd like to give a big thank you as well to the Casa Roble High School Floral CTE program for providing us with the centerpieces, and folks that want to take those, they're actually hoping folks will take those home. So if you'd like to take one of those homes, feel free to do so. And again, I'd like to just congratulate our 4 members. And folks, we got about a half an hour to mingle. And then at 5 o'clock, these folks have to head to closed session and start the real business. So take this opportunity to interact and mingle. And again, thank you all for coming out today.
All right. That concludes the oath of office. We will now recess until 5:15. I call the meeting of the San Juan Unified Board of Education back to order. There is one item on tonight's closed session agenda: student expulsions in 6 cases and student readmissions in 2 cases. Education Code Section 48918F. Do we have any public comment? There is no public comment. We will now move into closed session and we will return to open session at 6:30 p.m. I call the meeting of the San Juan Unified Board of Education back to order. The meeting is being audio and video recorded, and the recording may capture sounds and images of those attending this meeting. The recording will be posted on the district's website. Board meetings are being held in person in the boardroom at the district office, and the community is welcome to attend. The meeting may also be viewed on the district's YouTube channel, where it is being live streamed. Please stand for the presentation of colors by the Del Campo High School Air Force Junior ROTC.
Please follow me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Eric. Colors. Colors. Colors, earn, arch.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Zima Creason, Board Vice President. To my left is Ms. Pam Costa, Board Clerk. And to her left is Mr. Saul Hernandez, Mr. Ben Avey, Ms. Paula Viesquez, Ms. Tanya Krevchek, and Mr. Steve Miller, Board members. To my right is Superintendent Kern, and to his Board Administrative Assistant, Stephanie Cunningham. At this time, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to our new members. Welcome.
Thank you.
Individuals who are attending the meeting in person and would like to offer a public comment, we ask that you complete a speaker request card available at the staff table, and you will be called on at the appropriate time of the agenda. Right over that way. Please note that Board Bylaw 9323 limits visitor comments to 2 minutes per speaker, with no more than 30 minutes per single topic. Time will be extended for any speaker who uses an interpreter. Please note that public comments, including your name, become part of the public record. We will start tonight with our annual organizational meeting. Let's begin with item E1, election of officers. At this time, I would like to ask for nominations for board president.
I would proudly like to make a motion to elect Ms. Zima Creason as our board president. Oh, there we go. I move for Ms. Creason to serve as our board president.
Thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Hernandez. Thank you. It has been moved by Ms. Viesca, seconded by Mr. Hernandez. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 7. I wanted to say 5. This is the first meeting with 7 of us, 7-0 unanimously. Thank you so much, colleagues. Yeah, that's right. So I was not supposed to vote for myself. I felt awkward saying that. So it's
Why
6-0. Apologies.
Oh, you're good.
All right. So at this time, I would like to ask for nominations for vice president.
Check. Hi, I would like to nominate Ben Avey for vice president in light of all of the parent involvement that we've had in the last 2 years and his role as president of the Parents Association. And the fact that Pam has served as president before, I think maybe we could make a exception to our kind of rollout method and have Ben serve as vice president.
So that was the motion.
That's the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by
Miller.
Mr. Miller. Okay, all those in favor. Oh, do you accept the nomination?
We can make a motion beside that, can't we?
Or do we have to? So I do need some guidance. So do we vote on what's on the floor or do we take all nominations?
Do an alternate motion.
You would, you would vote on that nomination.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Unless there's an alternate motion.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
Mr. Hernandez.
I would like to nominate Pam Costa to serve as the vice president.
Is there a second?
I would second that alternate motion.
So I need guidance. Which motion do we vote on first?
First one.
The first one. Okay, so we're first going to vote on Mr. Ben Avey's nomination. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that leaves us at 2-3. But that, because you had to abstain from your vote, but we're
No.
still off one.
Paula didn't vote.
Yes.
Paula, did you vote?
There's a little bit of a delay in my mic. I vote against the motion on the table, and I'm going to leave my mic on, just for those nearby.
Okay.
And I don't know if it changed the outcome, but I was unaware that I could vote.
They were done.
I was unaware that I could vote
Okay,
based on the previous guidance of the chair.
Yeah.
So Mr. Avey can vote, correct?
Madam President, number one, yes, you can vote for yourself. And number two, I suggest a roll call vote since it's difficult to understand who's saying what.
Got it, got it, got it. Okay, so let's take it to the top. Thank you for everyone's patience. A little different process. All right, so I'm going to start at the end of the dais. So we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Krevchek,
Aye.
Ms. Viescaz,
Nay.
Mr. Avey,
Aye.
Mr. Hernandez, Ms. Costa.
Nay.
I vote nay. The motion fails. So now we take up the second motion.
Yes.
Okay, second motion is to elect Ms. Pam Costa as vice president. The motion has been moved and has been seconded. We'll do a roll call vote once again, and we'll start at the end of the dais. Mr. Miller,
Well, since the other one failed, I vote aye.
Ms. Krevchek,
Aye.
Ms. Viescaz,
Aye.
Mr. Avey,
Aye.
Mr. Hernandez,
Aye.
Ms. Costa.
Aye.
I vote aye. The motion passes unanimously. Congratulations. Okay, so at this time, I would like to ask for nominations for clerk.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Miller.
Do you want to turn on your mic?
I'd like to nominate Mr. Miller.
Okay, is there a second? That, I'm taking that as your motion.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Avey seconds. Ms. Krevchek?
No, sorry, I was remarking about his microphone is still off.
Oh,
But Mr. Avey did second it. Just, I'll repeat it so everyone can hear it.
Mr. 80 seconds.
Mr. Avey seconded the motion. Okay, great. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Are you okay down there? Do you accept? All right, the motion passes unanimously. Congratulations.
You want us to move chairs?
Yeah.
Say again?
And take your name tag.
No, I didn't know I had to move.
Yeah, you got to move.
Oh,
Gotta start.
please give us a moment while we do some musical chairs.
And then I move.
I'll save everyone the song.
It's you and I.
Okay.
Oh, that is. It's like a board game. I just move up. Yes. very well. What is this?
Okay. Sounds good. All right. So now we're moving on. We are at item E2, selection of board committee representatives and alternates. We're going to go line by line. So we're going to start with board advisory committees, citizen bond oversight committee. For our new members, each committee needs a liaison. So we're going to take it line by line and we'll take volunteers. Currently I serve, I'm the liaison for bond oversight. I know that this is a little different now that we have 7 members. Don't know that.
Yeah, really, with the 7, our hopes is that each member would be a point person to each of those committees in the board liaison and possibly a backup, although certain committees might have more than one, even when we have this conversation as well. So.
Okay. So any volunteers for bond oversight?
If there's no volunteers, I'll do it. I'm familiar with it, so I was thinking maybe something else, but.
Yeah, and I'm happy to continue as well.
But you want to stay on the seats.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do.
You
want
only
to stay.
get one.
I only get one. Yeah, you're right. Okay, Mr. Miller, you're up.
I'm happy to stay on as the alternate unless anybody really wants it. I do plan to be fairly differential to our new colleagues, but I'm happy to stay as the alternate.
Thank you for that, Ms. Viescaz. Anyone really wanting to serve as alternate? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Viescaz. Moving on to Curriculum and Standards, Instructional and Student Services Committee.
I would like to stay with that committee.
I also would like to be on that committee.
Did you want to serve as the main or the alternate?
I could be alternate.
Is that cool with everybody? All right, so, I'm sorry, Mr. Viesca or Mr. Hernandez?
If Ms. Kravchuk would really like to do it, there's
You gotta
maybe
get
two
on.
of you could do co. I don't know. Pam and I have done co in the past. It worked out. I don't know if that.
Can you turn your mic on, Mr. Hernandez?
Sorry,
Nope, that's okay.
I don't even know how to
Oh,
do
it's
it.
on top. You slide it up.
There's just a little bit of a delay as well. It'll
Okay.
flip to green. There you go.
There's no.
I'm just saying that because we have so many of us now, and if someone really wants to serve on a committee and maybe doing two, could share, and do a co like Pam and I did on LCAP, and it seemed to work well. I don't know, Pam,
Or we could have two board members
that's true.
that would work as well.
Yeah, there's no reason why both the liaison and co-liaison can't attend those meetings together. There's, two board members at a committee meeting would be fine. No problem with that at all.
That sounds great. So we know for sure that we have Ms. Costa and Ms. Kravchuk. So do we want to use co-chair language or are we okay with the alternate language? What's the pleasure of the board?
That is a big time commitment. So if I were to attend all of those meetings, I don't know where else I would be able to be involved. So what is the difference for me in terms of time commitment for co-chair versus alternate?
In the past, an alternate would, of course, you're welcome to go to any committee, whether you're the liaison or not, as much as you want to. But if the main liaison cannot attend, we will call the alternate to see if they could sit in. So it's less of a commitment, but of course, you're welcome to attend as much as
Okay,
you'd like.
I'm okay with the alternate.
Okay. Okay, so that one's settled. Thank you.
Thank you.
We don't need motions for all this, right?
No.
Okay. All right. Next up is Facilities Committee. Currently, we have Hernandez and Viescas.
I would like to stay on that committee if possible.
If someone wants to take a crack at it as the alternate or as a co-representative, I welcome that. Otherwise,
They probably should, Ms. Viescas, because you're already an alternate on
I
one.
agree.
Oh,
So-
yeah. But thank you for your willingness, Ms. Viescas. Mr. Avey?
Yeah, I can be the alternate for facility.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Avey will serve as alternate. Next up is LCAP, Local Control and Accountability Plan Parent Advisory Committee. Currently, Ms. Costa and Mr. Hernandez serve as co-reps.
I would like to serve on that committee.
And do we have a volunteer for either an alternate or a co-rep?
Go ahead.
I'd be happy to join as a co-representative. Or if folks are okay with moving to an alternate model for that one, that's what it used to be.
Mhm.
Does that suit my colleagues? Okay, then I'd be happy to try and decide between a co-representative and an alternate. I'd be happy to be the alternate there.
Okay, great. So thank you, Ms. Kravchuk and Ms. Viescas.
Okay.
Ms. Viescas, I don't think you could be an alternate to anything else, though. I think you're at capacity.
Noted.
Okay. Next up is Parent Committees, District English Learner Advisory Committee, DLAC. Now, this one, they meet in the middle of the day, correct? I think that's an important note.
As stated there, and Ms. Costa can speak to that, they have their meetings vary where it says meets monthly on Thursday mornings from 9 to 11 and evenings from 6 to 8. So they have both morning and evening meeting. I don't believe we've had the liaison attend both. Have you?
When
Okay.
I did it, I attended both
Okay.
evening and the daytime, but now I wouldn't be able to do the daytime.
Okay. Do we have a volunteer? It's strict. Mhm.
I can volunteer for that.
Thank you, Mr. Avey. And do we have an alternate? I'm happy to continue to serve as alternate. For the record, it'll be a little tough day times, but with some notice, so I'm sure we can work it out. Yep. Great. Okay. Special Education Community Advisory Committee, CAC. I would very much like to continue as the rep for that committee, if there's no objection.
No objection. I volunteer to alternate as
Awesome.
an alternate.
All right, me and Mr. Miller. Perfect. Okay, next, under other board represented committees, San Juan Education Foundation, SJEF. So the process we have been using is the board member, that's the Education Foundation, right? So we just take turns attending their board meetings. I think that has worked great and would love to continue that, Mr.
That is the seventh committee. And initially we had planned, but if it's at the will of the board. If that's the will of the board, we're fine with that. And I think the committee loves having a diverse representation attend as well. So again, will of the board.
No, thank you for noting that. And again, we still can show up. You know, as long as there's not a bunch of us. So what is the will of the board? Do we want to alternate or would we prefer to select a liaison? No preference?
I like the idea of alternating
Yep. Okay.
and leave it to your discretion as president. Hey, your turn.
Right. You're giving me too much power. Okay.
Well, and I think one of the things we could do, Mr. Miller, is with the fact that those meetings are held in the middle of the day via Zoom, some of the folks that have maybe a more restrictive schedule, see if there are some dates we could schedule those folks into first and then identify others to fill in behind. Because some folks have more flexibility than others and may be able to do it more than once, just depending upon schedules.
Okay, sounds good. Next up is District Audit Committee. Currently, Mr. Hernandez and Ms. Viesquez.
I'd be happy to stay on as the audit committee.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Oh, yeah, you're out.
Well, this is kind of at this point, we've met the needs of those seven. And one of the things I will say, because we did have our audit committee meeting today, I don't see any reason why, and we spoke about this today, this couldn't expand to 3 members.
Okay.
That it may be really beneficial to add an additional member to this committee. They meet really once a year, Mr. Hernandez, and
At least once
yeah.
once every 6 months.
Yeah.
And this is a committee that for any board members that we're reviewing the audit tonight, but you get a much thorough report from the audit, being on the audit committee. So if your interest is the budget or the finances of the district, I'd recommend that you think about this committee because you get a wide open approach to being on the committee.
I would be interested in being on the audit committee.
Okay. So we have Mr. Hernandez and Mr. Avey. Any others?
I'd be interested in.
And Ms. Costa. Great. That's our 3. Thank you. Okay, we're almost done. California School Boards Association, CSBA Delegate Assembly. So that's a whole thing. Okay, so the Delegate Assembly 2-year term from April 1, 2023 through March 31st. So we have 2 positions to fill on the California School Board Association Delegate Assembly. The first appointment is for a 2-year term from April 1 to April 1st, 2023 through March 31st, 2025. The second appointment is for a partial term to fill Dr. McKibben's vacancy, which ends on March 31st, 2024. These committee appointments do require a vote. I would like to serve to fill the partial term. I can make that commitment. If my colleagues are in agreement with that.
I have served on delegate assembly since I was elected as a board member. So 10 years. I think it's time to pass that along to somebody else. Just because it's a wonderful experience. There are probably twice a year regional meetings that happen on Saturdays. And then there is a large delegate meeting with all of our Sacramento County delegates in May. And then there's a delegate meeting at the annual conference that you attended. So it's an opportunity to work with CSBA, to have the ability to shape some of the policy platform for the California School Boards Association. I think it is an outstanding opportunity. I just feel like 10 years is more than enough to have served. I think that somebody else should have that opportunity. And I would really respect the time that I have served and offer it to somebody else.
And thank you for your service, Ms. Costa.
Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you for your service. Can you repeat what those meeting times or how many times they meet?
There, in the past, and I don't know because there will be a new regional director because Daryl Wu was not elected. So he was the one who called the 2 Saturday meetings. So there were 2 Saturday meetings and then 1 Saturday, Sunday meeting in May, which is for all of the larger region. And then 1 meeting that occurs at the annual conference for CSBA, which is the conference you just attended. So it's not a huge time commitment. It is a large block of time commitment because they're whole days, but there are only 3 whole days. And then I assume whoever becomes the new regional director will have the 2 Saturday ones as well.
I see the wheels turning.
Looking this way.
Giving others the opportunity.
You'd be great.
Can I ask a clarifying question of Ms. Costa, just because it is, is it common that all the districts have all their representatives there every time?
Most districts do,
Okay.
but obviously I wasn't there. I wasn't at annual conference, so I wasn't there this time. And I don't, at least one of our representatives, it would be useful to have at least one of our representatives there. If you were going to fill a position, it would make more sense to fill mine than the one that's the shorter term.
Why are you doing that?
Well, it doesn't make sense to fill the shorter one.
Well,
But
and if I could jump in, if that's okay, Ms. Creason, actually, in my entire tenure serving on the board, I've never served as CSBA delegate assembly, and I wanted to be deferential to our new colleagues, but given how the conversation is going, I'm happy to join you.
Okay, then I'll let you choose. Would you like to take the shorter term or the longer term?
I will take Ms. Costa's term and finish that.
Mr. Avey, I'm sorry, I see that you are lit up. I will say that differently in the future. I see that your microphones. It's green. I apologize. I promise I will be better next time. Okay. All right, we're gonna get back to business. We're gonna take these as 2 separate motions, starting with Ms. Viesquez. Is there a motion to appoint Ms. Viesquez to the CSBA Delegate Assembly for a 2-year term from April 1st, 2023 through March 31st, 2025?
so moved.
Second.
It has been moved by Ms. Costa and seconded by Mr. Miller. All of those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Okay, and then I'm up. Is there a motion to appoint Zima Creason to the CSBA Delegate Assembly for the remainder of the current term through March 31st, 2024?
So move.
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved by Ms. Krevchek and seconded by Ms. Viesquez. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Great. I feel like I'm forgetting one.
This one.
Citrus Heights.
Citrus Heights.
It's an important one.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Miller. This is you. Yeah, okay. City of Citrus Heights Education and Community Programs Committee. Any volunteers?
I'd like to volunteer for that one.
I think that tracks.
And this is another committee as we have, I know in talking to Mr. Avey the other day, he is part of this small part, but this area as well. Granted, with open enrollment, we have folks. This could expand to 3 members. I think the city may actually really value having probably the two largest members of Citrus Heights, as along with what historically we had done is we had done the president and the vice president. But with the change to by trustee areas, it makes sense to really have that representative there, as well as the board being represented by a whole as a kind of a neutral member as well. So theoretically, if the president was a member, you might want to have a third member. So that's a conversation. We kind of even had that, talked a little bit about that. Mr. Miller, you mentioned that at CSBA, that'd probably be an interest of the city. You know the city well. You feel like that would go well with them?
Yeah, I don't think, we talked also that, it'd be a 3-2, but I don't think that'd be an offense that we brought an extra board member.
Okay. And then an idea, we do go to 3 because that does make sense. We can ask them if they do feel like it's a little lopsided, then we can discuss it again.
There may be a time for it, maybe a time not for it.
Yeah, I think Ms. Bassinelli already had a conversation with their city
Okay.
manager and that was, of an interest. So Ms. Kravchuk, if you would be willing to be a part of that as well, that'd be great.
So I'm the third, right? Okay, and I'll be the third. All right, so we have Mr. Miller, Ms. Kravchuk, and me that will serve on the City of Citrus Heights Education and Community Programs Committee. Okay. Next up, we are at item E3, appointment of the superintendent as secretary to the board. Is there a motion to appoint the superintendent as secretary to the board?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Costa, question by Mr. Avey, from Mr. Avey.
There's a planned transition of superintendent over time. So at this time, would it make sense to appoint Mr. Kern? Or does it make sense to appoint Ms. Bassinelli? How should we handle that, knowing that we're going to have a transition in the superintendent in the next 19 days?
You're voting for the position, not the person.
The title, okay.
Okay, so it's by title, not by name.
Correct.
Thank you for the clarification. We have a motion. Ms. Costa moved. Do we have a second?
Sure. Oh, go ahead.
Who called it? I'm sorry. Seconded by Ms. Viescas. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We are now at item E4, establishment. Congratulations, Superintendent. We are at item
I'll
E.
work really hard at it.
Really hard. We are at item E4, establishment of board meeting dates and times. Regular board meetings are currently scheduled for the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month at 6:30 p.m. and workshops as needed. Is there a motion to approve regular board meeting dates and times as presented?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Hernandez,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Ms. Creason, just for the record, so that it can be in the minutes as well. Normally, we have one meeting in November, one in December based on, and that usually doesn't fall on the second. It falls on the, depends on in November. And then we do not have meetings normally scheduled in July. Those are on an at-need basis. So just for the record.
Thank you. Okay, we are at item E5, determination of board meeting location. Board meetings are typically held in the boardroom at 3738 Walnut Avenue in Carmichael. Is there a motion to approve the board meeting location as presented?
So move.
Moved by Ms. Kravchuk. Seconded by Mr. Hernandez. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, we are at item E6, board member it's even written out for me. Remuneration. Board member remuneration is in accordance with board policy 9250, and the current amount is $787.50 per month. Is there a motion to approve board member remuneration as presented?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Miller,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Costa. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And that concludes the organizational meeting. Whew. Okay. We are now at item F, approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Is there a motion to approve the minutes for November 15th?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Costa. Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Viescas. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Abstain,
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
abstain.
Extension.
The motion passes 4-0 with 3 abstentions. We are at item G1, high school student council reports. Tonight, we will hear from student representatives from El Sereno High School and Meraki High School. Welcome, and let's begin with Alexander Palmer and Artea Rosario from El Sereno.
Hello. Okay. President Creason, members of the board, Superintendent Kern, Ms. Cunningham. I'm Alex from El Sereno High School.
I'm Artea from El Sereno High School.
El Sereno is a unique high school experience which is more centered around your individual learning techniques and classes that fit your interest. Being able to choose whether to do classes online with teacher help within online learning platforms or traditionally through textbook, we offer different experiences and ways to take classes and earn credits here at El Sereno. Along with choosing how you wish to take your classes, we also offer flexibility with student schedules, which allows opportunity to take college classes through ARC dual enrollment or participate in extracurricular activities. Along with those opportunities, students at El Sereno High School are allowed to take AP or higher academic classes at other schools throughout our district, such as Del Campo and Bella Vista High School. Along with being able to take classes, students are also allowed to participate in other schools' athletic departments, such as Del Campo's boys volleyball team, which I will be joining again this year.
In our student government class, we create and plan activities for El Sereno and Meraki. So far, we have held a picnic for the 2 schools together to celebrate the coming of fall, where we had cookies to decorate, music, activities such as volleyball and cornhole, and much more. We also held a Halloween school dance with Meraki, which created a lively dynamic around the holiday and benefited the 2 schools and the community by having the ticket to enter the dance be canned food donations for a local KCA food drive. Leadership has also participated in volunteer work within our community, such as the local river cleanup in Nimbus, to be part of the change in our community and help in any way we can. The academics at El Sereno is one of the most fulfilling experiences that I've had, allowing us to explore career options and gain personal connections with the people who help us the most, the teachers. Allowing us to use online classes opens multiple class ideas which most schools may not offer, such as criminology and anthropology. With these classes online, we also have in-person unique classes such as guitar and our very own student government. The best part about the academics at El Sereno is being able to take the classes how you want or need to. We offer a variety of ways to take classes, such as being able to take classes fully remote through Apex Learning and Zoom meetings. We also offer hybrid classes where you can come in and meet your teacher in person in order to help or get help or take a test while being able to complete the work online in your own time. Or even get in-person classes if you like the traditional high school learning experience. El Sereno, while being a unique experience, has also been a great one. We would like to thank the board for listening and being there for us as a community. Thank you.
Hold on.
Just a moment. Do any board members have any questions from our speakers? Can you come back up to the podium? You're almost off the hook.
Not off the hook,
Any questions? Ms. Viescas?
I just wanted to say thank you for the report, and in particular, just there was a lot of call outs of your and your peers' work around giving back to the community, the river cleanup, the canned food drive. I want to congratulate you and say keep up the really great work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Miller?
Oh,
Okay, thank you so much.
thank you.
Next, we will hear from Neil Wallace from Meraki.
Good evening, President Creason, members of the board, Superintendent Kern, Ms. Cunningham. I am Neil D. from Meraki High School. I would like to preface with an apology. As I was preparing this, I fell under the weather with a 97.7 cold and 40-degree weather. However, it is in my best interest to represent my school and rise up to the challenge and responsibility to be here today and share with you some of the most successful activities around my school. At the beginning of the year, several Mayrocki students, myself included, volunteered to build storage sheds outside our main building. Using teamwork, we learned how to use power tools, lift heavy objects, and help improve our school in a supervised and safe environment. When the school year started, some changes were made to the science class. Implementing 4 required science projects, not only are more students turning in their science projects, but more room and creativity is given to personal projects and personal project planning. As mentioned by the El Sereno speakers, our Hallows Eve dance and SLF planning halfway through the school year, halfway through the school year, Mayrocki celebrated fall with our Hallows Eve dance. Our drama department put on a haunted house and advisors made piñatas. The band played the set list with me fronting as their lead vocalist. And students ran a food drive for dance admission. One of our end of the year activities is an exhibit of all the students' passions and projects and how they applied themselves to Mayrocki. In our first quarter, the students held a mini exhibition where rather than we demonstrate all of our projects to adults and other parents, but rather demonstrate our progress to our fellow peers to get to know them better or show them where our interests lie. And most recently, our physical literacy advisor, Dan DeYager, was interviewed on CBS at our school about physical literacy and independent study. While he was being interviewed, students participated in a fun run where we did laps and answered fun questions, followed by physical activities like carrying a medicine ball or walking through a trust maze. The interview will be broadcast on national television in early January. To conclude, in 2 years ago when I went to my old school, I won't name names, but words like inspire, educate, contribute, succeed would be foreign to me. In my 2 years of going to Mayrocki, however, I can refute my claim. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any questions or comments from my colleagues? Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had the opportunity to talk to Mr. Wallace before the meeting started. I just got to tell you, and I asked if I can quote him, and this is what he said. I said, Mr. Walker, how are things in Mayrocki? And he showed me his shirt and he said, I quote, Mayrocki is an incredible experience that offers outstanding individual achievement. And it was so awesome to hear such a response. Thank you to represent Mayrocki. And we appreciate your gust for education, Mr. Wallace. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's fabulous. Thank you. Mr. Miller.
Mr. Wallace, when you mentioned power tools and heavy objects, I couldn't help but think I made a career with those two things. Thank you. Great report.
All right. I too very much appreciate your report, and I'm sorry that you're sick. Next time we'll help you get better before, we love having you here, but we also care a whole lot about your health. And so anything we can do to support you, we will do that. I'm sorry that you had to do this work while you weren't feeling well, but you did a great job and it was such a pleasure to hear from you.
Of course.
Thanks so much for both reports. Student voice is incredibly important to the board, and we very much appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight. So thanks again. One more round of applause for our student. All right, and we are now at items G2, staff reports, Ms. Schnepp.
Good evening, President Greason, Superintendent Kern, members of the board, and Ms. Cunningham. I would like to share a few exciting updates on our career and technical education program, also known as our CTE program. This fall, our district was approved the Strong Workforce Program grant to begin the aviation pathway at Mariloma High School starting in August of 2023. The aviation pathway will allow Mariloma the opportunity for community partnerships with a variety of organizations, including Aerospace Museum. We are hopeful we will be funded for the full amount of the grant, which is $1 million. And we should find out the exact amount this Friday, and our fingers are crossed. Another new program I'd like to highlight is our construction pathway at Encina High School. The new construction pathway began in August with 49 students in grades 10 through 12. The teacher at Encina High School, Eric Rivas, brings with him many years of experience in the industry. And the feedback that we have received about this new program from the Encina students is extremely positive. While I was visiting Ms. Schultes on Friday of last week, the students said that Mr. Rivas is by far their favorite student. The students love the program and they are already building some pretty advanced projects. The culminating celebration and showcase for the CTE pathways was our CTE Expo, which happened on November 16th at the Citrus Heights Community Center. Every eighth grader in our district was invited to the expo to experience firsthand the 30 plus different pathways that are offered at all of our high schools. Transportation was provided to every student in the district, and students had an opportunity to talk with high school students, ask questions, and explore each of those pathways in hands-on experiences. We're really looking forward to the next year's CTE Expo. We did surveys with both the students and the teachers so that we're going to able to really improve upon what we did this year for next year. And finally, this afternoon, I'm happy to announce that we received our preliminary Career Technical Incentive Grant. It's also called CTIG. And this is our allocation for 22-23. And our preliminary numbers are around $1,800,000. This will be finalized in January and we'll share more information with you. But this was really exciting news that I wanted to share in regards to CTE. Thank you.
That's fabulous. Thank you, Ms. Schnepp. Any questions or comments from my colleagues? Mr. Avey.
I am in fact lit up this time. Thank you. Aviation pathway, that's really, really interesting. What are kind of the career outcomes that they look at? And that I'm assuming it's not just, pilot, but other careers in aviation?
There is a wide variety, starting with mechanical, aerospace, supports all the way up to pilotry work. Aerospace has simulations machines happening there, and we're hoping we can have some at Mariloma as well. So there's a lot of different entry points for aviation that students can look at and explore the different careers that are available.
It's a really good question because you think when we originally talked about this and we had a board member who had some interest in this even before I was in my position, who's still involved with the Aerospace Museum, and the logistical aspects of like even running, whether it's just all the traffic on the ground at an airport, the luggage, there are so many aspects beyond just becoming a pilot, which I think is exciting because a lot of students would have some of those interests, but not that. So the opportunities we think are going to be endless.
And I think in Sacramento with 4 airports at least.
Yeah.
Seems like a
Yep.
pretty strong industry.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ms. Grifcheck.
I just like to say congratulations on the grants. That's a lot of work and it's exciting for our district that you guys were able to get that. So congratulations.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Schnepp. It's worth a round of applause. Let's do it. Okay, we are at items G3 through G5, and we do not have any reports from board appointed district committees, employee organizations, or other district committees. We are at item G6, closed session expulsion actions. Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Madam President. Just to report out, the board voted 6-1 to accept a hearing panel's recommendation of 1 suspended expulsion in case M4. And the board voted unanimously to accept a hearing panel's recommendation of 3 expulsions in cases M7, M8, and S14. And to accept as written 2 stipulated expulsions in case numbers S15 and S16. And also finally to accept 2 denied enrollments in cases RA1 and RA2. And that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. We are at item H, visitor comments. We do have speaker cards for general visitor comments. Comments are limited to 2 minutes. The clock on the screen counts down the time. Under the Ralph M. Brown Act, the board is not allowed to comment on items that are not on the agenda. So we're not ignoring your comments. We just can't respond to any individual comments. The superintendent can refer items to staff who can follow up with you. Ms. Rye, please facilitate public comment.
Of course. Our first public comment is from Sarah Britton, followed by Hillary McLean. So Sarah Britton.
Good evening, all. We brought some data that we would like passed out to the board members this evening. My name is Sarah Britton, and I am here because about half of the students taking foundational math at Rio Americano High School are getting Ds and Fs. This is IM1, IM2, and math foundations, the types of math classes that most students require for high school graduation. This is the data that we've asked to pass out to you for the last 3 semesters. We have met with the administration, we have met with the district, and we are promised a meeting with the math department. None have indicated that there is an action plan in place, however, to address this level of failure. Our questions are, why are over half of students practically failing in these classes an acceptable outcome for educators? What self-evaluation and course correction is occurring to address this level of failure? Who is monitoring these failure rates, intervening before it's a systemic year-upon-year problem? Why aren't classes in the same skill levels taught and addressed equitably with the same methodologies, curriculum, and assessment protocols, essentially leaving kids the luck of the draw for what teacher they get and ultimately the outcome of their assessments and grades? With this level of students failing, students are either not learning what is being taught or their assessments are unfairly reflecting their understanding. Either of these things have lifelong ramifications for these students, their families, and our community. So I'm asking this board and the superintendent to direct staff to investigate what's occurring at the Rio Math Department and set this matter for its next agenda for a report back to both the members of this board and the public. Thank you.
Next, we have Hillary McLean, followed by Kim D.
Good evening, Board President Creason, Superintendent Kern, Board Trustees. Congratulations to all the members that have been elected recently and re-elected. And thank you all for your service on the school district board. I am also here to express deep concerns and frustration about math at Rio Americano High School because Rio Math is sadly failing our students. I am the parent of a sophomore at Rio Americano High School. My student is doing fine academically in a range of challenging classes, except for this year in Integrated Math 2. Last year, she got an A in Integrated Math 1. She is currently earning an F in Integrated Math 2. And I also note that I'm speaking on behalf of a number of other parents who were unable to come here tonight. Excuse me. Our children are in math classes that are using an approach to teaching and grading that is failing students on a massive scale. In my daughter's class, every student starts the year with an F. And in order to increase their grade from an F, students must prove their mastery on a series of skills multiple times on skills that involve multiple steps. There's no partial credit, no credit for homework, no alternative way for students to demonstrate mastery. Students who do not get a perfect score on a skill on the tests are left to their own devices to catch up, but they almost can never catch up, no matter what they do. My daughter and many students are working very hard to succeed, including seeking extra support in school by attending lunchtime support sessions that are jam-packed with students and by working with private tutors. Yet they remain stuck with failing grades in their math class at Rio. These are students who have not previously failed math classes. They are students who are doing well in other challenging courses. They're highly motivated to succeed in school. And as you will see in the data that you get a chance to look at, which is actually provided by the district.
I'm sorry, that concludes your 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we have Kim D, followed by Andrea De La Fuente.
Hi. Good evening, Board. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. I'm just going to echo pretty much what you've already been hearing tonight. I also am a parent of a student at Rio Americano High School. He's a freshman, straight A student, straight A's in all of his classes except for math. He started off the year 2 weeks in, got sick, just a cold, not COVID, but missed a whole week of school. Starts off as an F. So when he can't take a test on Friday, which is the only day they allow the tests, he didn't go from an F to a D. He went from an F to an F to an F to an F and can't get past the F. This is a huge problem at this school. It's a luck of a draw who your teacher is. It's a crapshoot. I don't know what program or job or anywhere in the world where it's a good idea to start off with an F or with a loser card. It's not for success. And this is a public school. I'm looking into transferring my child to a private school because I've been so disheartened with this program. So I'm here tonight to just reiterate to you guys that I really would like something to be done. There's not equity, there's not fairness, there's not accessibility, there's not opportunities. Privately paying for a tutor out of my own pocket, and a lot of parents can't afford to do that. So what happens to all those kids? They just get dropped in the wayside, in the cracks, fall through. This is going to affect my kid getting into college. It's going to affect my kid later on in life. What's he going to be? He doesn't get into college. He doesn't have straight A's basically in high school. He's not going to get into college in California. So this is a problem. So I'm hoping you guys take a look at it. Thanks.
Next, we have Andrea De La Fuente, followed by Armand Feliciano.
Good evening. Thank you all. I'm Andrea De La Fuente. I'm also a parent of a sophomore at Rio Americano, and here just to echo what the other parents have said, very concerned about the math education there. My daughter is a sophomore in IM2. She, as has already been said, started out the year with an F. She continues to have an F despite taking the tests every single week. She does homework. She goes for tutoring. She goes to see her last year's math teacher who she earned an A from, even though she struggles in math. She goes to see her current year teacher. She cannot succeed in this class, and something is wrong when nearly 55% of the kids are failing with either a D or an F at the interim progress report. That's not success. These kids deserve to be able to earn a passing grade. And despite work, tutors, hard work out with their teachers, hard work on their own, her dad and I helping her, our daughter cannot succeed in this class. And there's something wrong systemically when that's the case. So we would just urge you to put this on your agenda for next meeting or the meeting after that to discuss this, what's going on with the school so that they can try to analyze what the issues are, if it's the curriculum, if it's the teachers, if it's the grading, if it's the testing, if it's all of that. There needs to be some solution so that our kids can earn good grades and go to college as we all want them to do. Thank you.
Next, we have Armand Feliciano, followed by Will Gonzalez.
Good evening, board members, Madam President. Thank you for listening to us tonight. Armand Feliciano. I have a sophomore student at Rio Americana High School. I'm going to just reiterate the ask is to have this matter, the skills-based testing approach to be on your agenda next time you meet. Direct your staff to investigate what has happened, what continues to happen, develop recommendations for fixing this inequity. 54% of IM2 Rio maths failing. That's significant, right? I'm also going to just reiterate that there's no real world examples starting someone in an F and expect them to do well. Really, it isn't. And I'm just going to say it from my opinion at this point. I feel like my interaction with the math department and the principal of Rio Americana High School at this point, I'm going to give them an F. How does that feel? Doesn't feel very good. So I'm just speaking as a parent today that it's inequity that needs to be resolved. And I'm just being mindful that it has to be fixed, right? There's a real life consequences for students. The very teachers and principals supposed to be leading the way to success. That's not happening. I'm going to read a part of the San Juan equity statement that I saw online. Something to talk about San Juan will reduce the predictability of which students fail by utilizing an equity lens to eliminate barriers. I see barriers created, not eliminated at this point. There's also a note there about honoring the needs of the community. It's not being honored today. I see no specific plans to help our students to get through this barrier. And so we do appreciate the time and look forward to working with you on this issue. Thank you.
Next, we have Will Gonzalez, followed by Leslie Guilan.
Good evening, board members. My name is Will Gonzalez. I am a parent to a ninth grader in IM2 at Rio Americano. I want to echo everything that was said. I want to emphasize right from the start the ask, which is we desperately would like this item to be agendized so we can discuss it in more detail at your next meeting. But I want to give you a real world example of what everybody's trying to express. A lot of the students are being taught with a methodology called skills-based learning, which none of us knew what it was. We looked into it, sounded in theory great, but I want to give you a sense of what our students are dealing with. You are taught a skill for a week, and then you take a quiz. And the next week, you learn another skill and you take a quiz. Unless you get a absolute perfect score on that quiz, that next week, you're going to take basically 2 quizzes. They stack. And you have to get a perfect score 3 quizzes in a row. So I hope you realize the stacking effect that happens, that kids that don't get, they you know, in my mind, in our daughter's case, I think she's mastered a lot of skills, but it's not perfection. You miss the comma or a plus sign or a negative sign and you're out. You have to do that one over again. Each week, they stack and they stack. And what you have now, you know, what are we at the end of the semester? You have kids taking 10 skill sets that have stacked week after week. You don't have enough time in the day to pass this class. You have kids playing arbitrage, trying to figure out which skill set they're just going to dump and decide not to learn because, you know, an A's out the window, I'm now shooting for a B. A couple of weeks pass, a B's out the window, I'm now shooting for a C. It's a disaster. I'm all for experimenting and trying new ways to learn math. I know teaching math is a difficult subject, but the fact that we have 54% of IM2 students failing, we had to request the data. The administration had no awareness of this. It needs a reassessment. Thank you.
Next, we have Leslie Guilan, followed by Philip Martin.
Hi, thank you so much for your time. I'm Leslie Guion and I have a sophomore. And I am here to also talk about math, where what I have seen going on is not only debilitating for our students, but it's professional negligence and it's professional incompetence. And there are laws that teachers need to follow. And these are not being set by Rio Americano High School and the math department, unfortunately. And maybe it's best to contact Hufflin Mifflin and give them the information of that these skills are not being set. And another important point is my daughter should not be up studying until 3 in the morning to get a 55 on a math test when she's in all honors math classes or all honors classes, so that she doesn't want to go to school because she's too exhausted. And so why try if you're just going to fail? So this really needs to be addressed. And like everybody else has said, whether it's training in the math department, whether it's getting a new system, something needs to be changed because these kids spent 2 years in their rooms during COVID, 2 years. And so now they get to actually go from 8th grade to high school and they're failing. So why go? So we need to change that. And I'm on the board at Rio. So if there's something that I can do to help, I'm happy to do that. Thank you. Thank you.
Next, we have Philip Martin, followed by Natalie Polano.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. I am the father of 2 daughters at San Juan. One is a junior, one is an 8th grader. They're both high achieving kids. And my observations as to the problems that have been happening in the math department are one, that our students are leaving the math classes feeling rejected, like they can't achieve passing grades, like they are failures, and there's a lot of anxiety that's coming out of just attending the math classes now because of the changes that have happened in the past couple of years, I would say. Second is that there doesn't appear to be enough help for the teachers. I've spent some time talking with the teachers about my concerns, and I'm very involved with my kids' classes, math specifically. And they seem to need and want assistance from administration, but they aren't getting it. And my personal experience with my daughters, and my first daughter in IM2 last year brought this to my attention. It was a struggle for the teacher as well. So I'm not pointing fingers at the teachers. They're looking for help too. Please direct staff to investigate these issues at Rio Math. And please set this matter for a timed item on your next agenda. Thank you.
Next, we have Natalie Polano, followed by Sarissa Brown.
Hi there, everyone. Thanks for hearing us tonight. I'm here, my name is Natalie Polano. I worked 10 years in the special ed department until COVID happened for the district. I've also attended schools all the way through high school and graduated from El Camino, went on to college, came back and became a teacher. And I have a lot of familiar, wonderful faces that I see today that I've worked for in the past. And I know that you're going to help us to advocate for our students in the math program at Rio Americano. There is definitely something that is going on when a child starts out in a deficit on a grading system that nobody seems to know where it came from. This is a skills-based test. I believe it was piloted last year and adopted with the school. Nobody really knows where it came from, if it's been made up from the professors or the teachers that are there. Some teachers have adopted this program and other people haven't. So some of the teachers are having success with their regular grades graded like we do in high school. We are not on a point system in high school, yet this system does not match our grading for our high school students. I have a very high achieving academic scholar. I had to go in at the end of September year because he had a D- in a class. I had to present to his teacher, the vice principal, and the counselor the problems. The teacher admitted that there was a problem with this grading system, but he was forced to use it because it was adopted by the department. I found out that this year with a lot of my other families that I've been speaking to, that that's not the case. We've also reached out to administration with no response, and we're trying to advocate for our students. This is a failing grading system. This is something that needs to be addressed immediately. We have years of kids going through this program that have failed and talk about their teachers being tenure, and that's why they can't do anything. Really appreciate your time in this. Please help us. Thank you.
Next, we have Sarissa Brown, followed by Denise Ackerman.
Hi, my name is Sarissa Brown. I have 2 students, Mesa Verde and Mariposa. I am here because I am asking that when you open your presents, that you think about children like mine that are forsaking her Christmas this year to pay for tutoring, because your English language arts and your curriculum for phonics is not that great. And it actually is so horrible that the teacher actually pushed it to my daughter and told her to teach herself to read. I took her Christmas money and am paying for her tutoring because your school and your district is that lackluster in your phonics. My son is a testimony of that. He's in 10th grade and his teachers keep scratching his head. He should have learned this in elementary. Why didn't he learn this in elementary? Because it's not a priority. That's why. And now I learned from my son to take that money because I am below poverty level. I am low income. I'm not afforded a very well-paying job that allows me the extra. So I chose to take the little expenses I have. So when you're opening presents, think about all the low-income children that are paying for tutoring that your services in your school could be providing. They forsake some of the luxuries of a children and being an American child at that, and are paying for services that you could be providing. So think about that, please, when you're opening presents this year. Thank you.
Denise Ackerman.
Good evening. My name is Denise Ackerman. I have a junior at Rio Americano. So unfortunately, this is a little bit late in the game for my daughter in particular, but I wanted to echo the voices of other Rio Americano students at in the math program. She was accelerated in middle school in her math, and she did fine freshman year, but sophomore year, she ended up failing IM2. She went to summer school. She worked hard. She got an A+, 100%. Summer school, most of her fellow students in summer school at Del Campo were from the Rio Americano math program. There has to be a study and look at the root causes of why our students at Rio are so dismally failing. What is happening? Why are teachers not engaging with their students? Why are they not seeing the clues? Why are they not reaching out to them in ways that actually have an impact? I don't know if it's transition. Our students are the first ones with Common Core, but I am 1, 2, and 3. That transition happened years ago. So the teachers should have this curriculum down. They should understand how to reach and connect with our students. So I echo other parents that have spoken up today, urging the board to put this on the agenda and to reach out to Rio Americano and hold them accountable. Thank you.
And President Creason, that was our final visitor comment.
Thank you to our community that came out for public comment. We are now at item I, consent calendar. Do any board members wish to remove any items from the consent calendar? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve items I1 through I8?
Move the consent calendar.
Second?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Miller, seconded by Ms. Costa. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
That was easy. On to the-
Okay, we are now at item K1, 2021-2022 audit report. Ms. Heber, I'm so sorry.
Good evening, President Creason, Governing Board, Superintendent Kern, and Ms. Cunningham. The superintendent is recommending that the board accept the 2021-22 audit report as prepared by Crow. Tonight, we'll have Jennifer Aris, who's with Crow, present the audit.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here this evening to discuss your fiscal year 2022 audit results. I'm Jen Aris. I'm an audit partner and your signing partner for this audit engagement. Crow is actually engaged to perform essentially 5 separate audits for the district. We audit the financial statements of the district, and along with that, under governmental audit standards, audit the internal controls in place over the compilation of that financial data for those financial statements. We also audit or perform an audit very specific to the state compliance requirements in the state of California, for which there's an audit guide that prescribes the exact steps to be performed.
We also perform what's referred to as a federal program audit or a uniform guidance audit that's very specific to the federal funding that is received by the district. And for that, again, there's a specific compliance supplement that outlines the procedures to be performed. And then lastly, we perform a very prescribed audit over the first 5 revenue and expenditures that are received annually. So I'm here tonight to present to you the final audit results. You'll see in the audit report that you have in front of you on page 89, there's kind of a nice snapshot of the results of really all of the work that was completed. So as it relates to the financial statement audit itself, we've issued an unmodified or what's referred to as a clean audit opinion. We did have one internal control finding over the compilation of the financial data. That finding was discussed in detail with the audit committee earlier today and really has to do with revenue recognition and the estimation process that was applied this year. So, you know, revenue is something that is very complex for every district, not just yours. There are a number of factors that go into the calculations. As all of you know, there have been some changes, particularly in the past 2 years because of the additional COVID funding that was received, the budget revise that happens every May. And so there was an adjustment that was required to the revenue that had been recognized. And because of the dollar amount involved, it resulted in an adjustment to the financial statements. And then typically whenever you have an adjustment to the financials, there's a finding associated with that. We did not have any findings as it related to our work over the federal compliance testing that was performed. So the uniform guidance audit is again an unmodified or a clean opinion. We did have one finding as it related to state compliance. And so you'll have that finding detailed for you within the financial statements as well on page 92. This was also addressed in detail with the audit committee earlier today. This was an attendance finding. And so at one school site with the sampling that we applied, there was one student that was marked present when they were absent. And so claimed for apportionment, but not actually there for the day. So because of the minimal amount of the finding, there is no fiscal impact calculated there. We do perform what is referred to as a risk-based approach. And under audit standards, we are providing limited assurance or reasonable assurance. And so really what that means is we don't test 100% of the transactions. If we were to do that, we'd need to, you know, have our own desks in the business office and shadow as the work happened daily. We sample based on risk, based on dollar amounts, based on our understanding of the internal control environment. And so just wanted to be clear about that as well. The financial statements are management's. And so our role is to audit that information. You know, we kind of come in and punch some holes in the information, if you will. And your business office management team is incredibly responsive to our requests. They're very transparent in providing information to us, very timely. You know, the audit is on top of their normal day job. And it seems as though the compliance requirements grow annually. And so we're, you know, consistently asking for more information, but your team, you know, continues to rise to the challenge and has been very thoughtful in making the audit a priority. So you should be proud of these audit results. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments from my colleagues? I'm sorry, Mr. Avey.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the report. It's nice to see there's an unmodified opinion. That's always good news.
Yes.
I did have a couple of questions. You did address the revenue recognition. That technically was a material weakness, right?
It was, yes. And that's really based on the dollar amount.
Okay.
We use a materiality calculation, and because of the dollar amount and the required adjustment, it's kind of automatically, if you will, a material weakness.
Okay. And then attendance reporting, that was noted as a deficiency.
Correct.
I also noticed there was a deficiency for a school accountability report card. Could you just give an overview of that as well?
Oh, yeah. Thank you for pointing that out. Under the reporting standards, annually, you are required to include an update on any prior year findings. And so for the fiscal year 2021 audit,
There was one finding, and that related to the school accountability report card, some discrepancies in the reporting. And school accountability report cards are something that we audit annually under the state compliance requirements, and we had no findings related to that in the current year. So that's considered resolved or implemented.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Miller.
Thank you. To follow up on the attendance reporting, just so I understand, was more than Barrett Middle Schools sampled?
Yes.
Okay, that's what
Yes.
wasn't clear. It looks like, oh, we checked one and it was off, so everything else is good.
Yeah, so the state audit guide actually has a formula
Right.
that you are required to apply by grade level essentially. And so there were a number of sites that were selected for testing. We test a number of students at each of the sites. And so out of all of that testing, we had just one student.
Very
Yes.
good. Feel better about it now.
Thank you.
Mr. Hernandez.
For so my colleagues are aware of that one, a little smudge. There were 26 sites actually tested. So just so you all know. And since I have the, being on that audit committee, it's, we love to see 100%, that there's no findings at all, but I personally want to thank you for your report and we will work on this as we have in the past that we haven't got 100% in the past all the time. We did a couple, I think, recently, but as we get these, we will continue to work hard and work on the things we need to work on. So thank you for the report.
Thank you.
Ms. Viescas.
I also just wanted to offer a brief comment as a member of the audit committee. And first and foremost, thanks for the work that's got into this. And, the last few years in particular have just been unprecedented in terms of the fluctuation of federal funding and state funding and sort of the whiplash. And so I was certainly pleased with the findings and how they were resolved. And we did go into a lot more detail in the audit committee. So Mr. Avey, your questions were consistent with the detail there. So I think you will enjoy your time as a member of the audit committee. But I mostly wanted to say thank you for your time, and given just the enormity of particularly the last year and kind of funding and back and forth, et cetera. I thought it was a certainly respectable audit and thought everything was resolved as needed and as appropriate, and we'll look forward to updates on the findings the next year's audit report. Thank you.
Okay, this is an action item. Is there a motion to accept the 2021-2022 audit report as prepared by the district's independent auditor, Crow LLP?
So move.
Moved by Ms. Krevchuk. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Viescas. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We are now at item K2, 2022-2023 first interim and budget fiscal status report. Ms. Stahlherber. I keep saying Herber. I'm sorry, Heber.
Heard burger. I've heard a lot of things. No worries. Good evening again. The superintendent is recommending that the board review and approve the 2022-23 first interim report. These are our core commitments that I include. I'm not going to read them off to you. You're all familiar with them, but I like to include them in the report just to have that reminder that we are aware of them. We keep them in sight. And they're part of our culture. So tonight we're going to talk about first interim. We brought the 45-day revise when we brought the unaudited actuals to you in September. And that was based on all of the changes we saw in that budget from the May revise to the final adopted budget. So when I compare my numbers, I'm going to be looking back at that 45-day revise because that was the last budget I brought to you. When you look in the actual documents, the county office requires that we compare it to adopted budget. So if there's a difference in those numbers, that's why. I will try to tie them though for some of you because you weren't here when we did 45-day revise. So our general fund unrestricted revenues, we saw some increases, particularly at the 45-day revise, more on the unrestricted side, but we did see some at the 45 because we saw that COLA increase to the 12.84. The increases that you're seeing at first interim is because that COLA was revised after the budget because of the compounding effect, and it was revised to a 13.26. The total increase was 5,000,189. We also saw some slight increases in our state revenues and our local revenues on the unrestricted side. Restricted revenues, we saw an increase, a very small increase in our special ed LCFF, which is generated through AB 602 formula. We saw our federal revenues decreased, and that was as a result of adjustments in carryover and different awards. We also saw a decrease in our state revenues due to the same situation. Our local revenues reflect an increase, and that's because as donations come in, we budget them. And because those fluctuate from year to year, we don't budget them in advance, but we do make those adjustments throughout the year. This is a summary of our revenues, and you'll see that the largest part of our revenues come in from the local control local control funding formula. They're made up of local property taxes, Education Protection Act funds, and state aid. And then you can see the rest of those revenues of federal, which we'd expect to see a lot more from them, but we don't. They're about 14%. General fund unrestricted. We see that our classified salaries increased, and we expected that because we did a 10% salary increase. What you won't see reflected in here is the 0.75 that was also approved. We are still working on the details because that is for the purposes of recruiting, retaining, and filling hard to fill positions. So each bargaining group is working with their team to come up with what we're gonna put that 0.75 towards. You'll see that reflected when we come back, hopefully at second interim, if not, when we close the books in unaudited actuals. Our health and welfare, though, you would see did not increase at 10%. And that's for total benefits. And part of that was because health and welfare was estimated higher than what actually came in. When we got the final rate increases, we actually saw one of our providers decrease their rates due to our experience. And the other one was just a very modest increase. So the net effect was that we didn't see a lot of increases in our 3000s, which are where our benefits live. And if you have any questions as I go through, please feel free to stop me. On our restricted side, you'll see the same, but you did see a little bit more of an increase, and that's because through those restricted dollars, we're still adding positions, particularly for like our Title I site, some of those one-time dollars where we're doing some learning loss recovery, where we're trying to add positions as we identify needs and services that students need. When you look at our total expenditures, we typically run at about 88 to 89% for salaries and benefits. Currently, we're projected at about 85% though. And that's because we do have such an influx of one-time funds. We have a lot of funds right now budgeted in those supplies and service categories, the 4,000s, the 5,000s, which is also the categories that we tend to see carryover fall out at the end of the year. Last year, we saw a lot when we compared to estimated actuals, and that was due to a lot of shipping delays and orders that just went unfilled. We've had multiple contracts that were part of our state contract and bid process that have been canceled on us due to supply issues. And I'm sure all of you out in just the normal world have experienced those same issues. So that's contributed a lot to that carryover and the changes in that. This is a look at general fund summary combined. And so you can see at the 45-day revise, we had estimated our beginning fund balance at 129 million. That estimate was based on our estimated actuals with our adopted budget, as we had not updated with our unaudited actuals. So you see the increase to 149 million, and that was those 4,000s and those 5,000s where we could not expend all those funds. So when you looked at our estimated actuals that adopted, and then you compared it to our unaudited actuals, you saw about 21 million fall out in those categories. Not all of it was due to shipping delays. Some of it was just sites were so busy with other needs. We had staffing shortages that they weren't able to prioritize spending money, which, just seems uncommon, but it's really hard sometimes when you have this much. Our fund balance is healthy and remains healthy even after giving an increase. And I think that is because when we looked back, over a broad span. I think we went back 7 to 8 years. We saw that we were tracking the lowest in the county for big districts of our size, which is who we compete with. And so when we gave that increase, it really was keeping in mind that we need to be competitive. We need to attract good teachers, and we want to get them at our district because we know we have a lot of big districts we're up against in the area. And so you can see that it didn't harm our fund balance. We still have a really healthy fund balance. We also brought a resolution to you when we brought our 45-day revise to increase some of our committed funds, which commits that fund balance for future purposes. And so in some of those expenditure categories, you saw increases, particularly in our 6,000, our capital outlay, and that was planned for our bus purchases. So when I first arrived a little over a year ago, one of the requests I got was, we need 100 buses. That's a lot of buses and a lot of money. So we sat down and really kind of mapped out a 10-year plan based on the age of our buses, how they were going to age out, and then putting it together in a way that, you know, when we're long gone, nobody will ever have to deal with needing 100 buses again. They'll be able to do it incrementally. And so part of that commitment was in that resolution we brought for those committed funds. And so you saw those budgeted in those 6,000s, the capital outlay. And this is a breakout that's traditionally been shared here at San Juan, where we show the supplemental, but then we also show the base. And that's because we really like to keep our focus on those supplemental funds, which drive some of those supports for our neediest students. This includes all of our other funds. We have all of our funds have healthy fund balances. Some of the deficit spending you see is planned in child development. You'll see a significant planned deficit, and that is because of some of those ESSER funds that are expiring. And so we've been using those and planning some purchases this year. And so it's an intentional deficit. It's not a structural deficit. Building, of course, you're going to see that because we issued bonds last year and we're building some amazing schools for our students. And so we expect to expend those funds this year as we close out some projects. These are the planning factors we use when we prepare our multi-year projections. We look to the Department of Finance, Legislative Analyst Office, and School Services of California. They publish a dartboard at each reporting period, and we use it as a guide to help project those costs based on the information we have currently. As you can see, we project that our PERS rate will be increasing in those out years, and that rate is set every other year. So although we have these rates now, they could increase the next time the PERS board meets. We have a little more time when it comes to STRS because it takes a statutory change to make any changes to those rates. So in our multi-year projections, we're healthy. We have a very healthy fund balance, even with those one-time dollars expiring. And that's because we got an influx of additional one-time funds from the state in this year's budget, which was good news. When we heard some of the revenues coming in lower this year, we know that shields us next year in the budget because of those one-time dollars being booked to Prop 98. They can use those funds to kind of cushion the blow from the lower revenues for education next year. Also, because the state is in declining enrollment, that also provides a little bit of a cushion because the Prop 98 guarantee, which is what funds school districts in the state of California, will on the natural come in a little bit lower, which helps them fund that COLA, which right now is being projected to come in around 8%, which is a really significant COLA. And so we certified positive, which is good. We always want to have a positive certification. And that's it. Next steps, we're going to continue to monitor the budget. We'll be back at second interim with updated numbers based on actuals and what's happened. Any new grants, which I heard some of them today that I heard about yet. So we're really excited for that. You'll see that if we have the grant notification letters by second interim. We're going to continue to work on our system-wide systems, and we're going to be building some plans for those one-time dollars for the learning recovery and that art and music block grant funds. And then any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Stahl-Heber. Any questions or comments from my colleagues? Mr. Avey?
Sorry, new guy with all the questions.
You do not have to apologize.
No, thank you for the report, and thank you to my colleagues for the prudence you've shown over time, because I think it's nice showing up at my first meeting for the first interim report, and it's a positive report. I know not every school district in this region has that same luxury, so I appreciate that. I did notice we are looking at a very significant COLA next year. We are coming off of giving a very significant pay raise to staff. I think that's all been planned for. In some of the DOF forecasting I've seen, it's not necessarily next year that's the big concern. It's the 2 years after that, before we start coming out of what may be the, what are they calling it, the budget problem. So can you comment on that I mean, I don't know if that's too far into the future. But
in our
what are your
multi-
thoughts?
In our multi-year, we do have current year +2. So we're not that third year out from current year, but we have projected the salary increase in next year, the 4.5. That's already in there and reflected, and it's reflected with a lower COLA. So fewer funds than we're probably actually likely to receive. And that was based on the dartboard that we had at this time. They still haven't published one with that higher COLA. So we're fairly healthy. And the fact that we committed funds for some of our big items like the bus replacement plan, technology, textbook adoptions, we feel very secure. And then we still have those one-time dollars. For our district, those one-time dollars, which we discussed at 45-day revise, amounted to $78 million. So that will help kind of stretch out that through that period where maybe we're having some budget difficulties in the state, which the state is counting on. And if you're listening to any of them, when they address it, they are talking about these one-time dollars. I even read an article today that suggested that they might potentially, instead of sending all these funds out this year, slow it down to help them also with their cash flow issues. So I think that's a very likely option that they'll exercise.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I just will say I'm very mindful of having been through a few recessions in the state of California of those unknown factors in the future. And so I appreciate the board's prudence. I look forward to continuing that to make sure we're doing the best we can for our students.
Thank you, Mr. Avey. Ms. Grocha?
I would just like to thank you. Yes, coming on as a new board member, having lots of questions about those buses and capital outlays and cafeteria and all the things that you mentioned today. Thank you for taking the time to address our concerns and ignorance, and I just appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm still learning the district since I've only been here a year, and it's such a large district, so we'll do it together.
Very good.
Ms. Viescaz.
I just want to thank you for the work that went into this, and also acknowledge the appreciation expressed by my colleague to my right. It takes a lot of work to keep a big ship as big as San Juan going in the direction that we have, and I'm proud of the work we've been able to do. But I do want to take the opportunity to just echo what you raised, and Mr. Avey, which is, I think, all of us have day jobs, but mine is particularly correlated with this question of, how much money will there be for social services programs, for safety net programs, et cetera. And to call January a moving target would be a very significant understatement. And so there's a pretty good chance that the next report that we see will look very unlike what we see right now. But Ms. Stahlheber, you did a pretty good job of laying out some of our potential contingencies and likely actions from the state. And I'll just take a moment to also express one of the frustrations of sitting in this seat for as long as I have, is watching as, we as a board have to plan out for multi-year projections 2 and 3 years out. And of course, that's not something that is required of the state. And so we are instead left at the end of, a wagging tail that could go any direction. And January will probably look way different from May revise, and we will be holding our breaths in May to see what that looks like. So all that's to say is appreciate you keeping an eye on this crazy moving target. And it's nice to be able to sit in this chair and have confidence that while we might not know exactly where we're going, there's enough contingency plans in place to be able to manage whatever comes next.
Thank you, Ms. Viescaz.
One of the things that I think is exciting as we look ahead, and Ms. Stahlheber, if you can even think about this, prior to the pandemic, we had finally gotten to the point where we had gotten over the 3-year average for unduplicated count. So we were going to start receiving concentration dollars. And I think that first year we were just right around 56%. We received $800,000. But if that had kept growing, we ultimately would have an opportunity to see potentially millions of dollars to address some of the biggest needs that we have. I've got to give a huge shout out to our school sites, staff, and administrators, because when they worked hard with families to get them to get that information back to us, we're over 59% this year. So, you know, when the pandemic hit, we went back down to like 53, 52. It was really challenging to get that information. Where that allows us actually, I think, some time, which is kind of probably beneficial to us, is that we may get back into concentration next year. We likely will if it's 59. We may see a small amount, but the year after that, as we start to see some of these one-time dollars go away, you may see an influx of new money that would be ongoing. And as Ms. Basanelli has said a couple of times as she's presented, it's really going to be beneficial to the board to have those conversations about what are the things that we were doing with the one-time funds that now that we're getting these ongoing funds will continue. And it's hard to guess what those numbers will be, but they'll probably be in the million or in the neighborhood of a handful of millions, maybe up to $5 or more million. So, which will allow us to pivot off of that one time. So even as we think about what could be happening with the trend on the downturn, we potentially will be seeing some new dollars coming back to us. So you want to speak any more to that, or?
Well, I have tried to run some trend analysis on that. And in the first year, because it is a 3-year rolling average, you don't see as big of an effect. But it was still, I want to say, over $500,000. But in those subsequent years, and that was keeping it flat, not seeing an increase in those efforts, which we may, especially if we fall on difficult times and it's harder for families. We may see more of them qualify. It was 3 million, then 5 million, and that was still with the lower COLA as well. So once we bring in that, and I have not updated our enrollment numbers. We had originally projected about 480 decline in our enrollment. We're actually only down 30 this year. So, which is good news because we are seeing that our attendance rate didn't fully recover where we wanted and where we typically are in a school year. So that's going to help mitigate and offset that as well.
That's one of the things I think throughout the state, and I don't know if they alluded to it a little bit at the when we had a couple of the panels there, the state's declining. Attendance has not rebounded. I think when you have spoken to other individuals in your position as well as mine, most districts are seeing about a 2% decline in their average daily attendance, which then has an impact on the revenues that we get back. So although we've, the benefit of not seeing as big of a decline, it's probably offset by that 2%. Now, again, hopefully, as we look towards out years, we can see a kind of a stabilization of the enrollment and an increase of that average daily attendance, because if that comes into play, that could potentially help us with future revenues as well.
Yeah. And that makes a huge impact.
Any other question, Mr. Hernandez?
Jen, in my mental financial situation, are we still in a situation that if heaven forbid we have a catastrophe and we have no money coming from the state and none from the federal, that we still had to educate our kids and we'd be able to keep our doors open for what, about 2.5 months? Is that still where we are?
I did not look at cash, but I'm sure, our cash was healthy. If we didn't talk about it, it means it's really healthy.
I'm in my mind, that's how I gauge it. And I think that's still true, just so for my colleagues to know that, but give us an answer later on. But
Yeah, I can get back to you on that because we do submit 2 years of cash flow in here. So we could back out the apportionments and see what that would.
thank you.
Yep.
Ms. Viescas.
Sorry, if you'd asked me what item I was going to talk on, most this would not have been what I had predicted. But Mr. Kern's comments in particular just kind of jogged my thoughts and where I meant to conclude earlier, which is that we've been able to weather quite a bit through the last couple of years. And while we sit up here and sort of take the vote on the report, it's not without teamwork. It's not without full cooperation and hard work from the district staff, from our school sites, from our labor partners. We do this successfully because of the teamwork that goes into it. And I just think it's an important moment in time right now to highlight that. And I think it'll be critical moving forward.
I will build off a little bit of that, because when we have conversations, when we do take risk, And you always have to, especially when you're going into bargaining. And there's evidence that this has been the case, both when we have conversations with all of our bargaining groups. They say, we've been there in the past with you in the good times. We will be there, if it gets to a point where we fall off of a cliff. And again, we have evidence of that, and we hope that we can continue to work together. So if that were to ever happen, those strong relationships will not put us in a situation that you see some other districts in, to where they just go their separate ways. So appreciate you calling that out.
Ms. Costa.
I too appreciate the whole team's efforts, and I would agree that it has been teamwork for these budgets to be certified positive for so many years in a row. And I have a trivial comment. I thought this document from CASBO was really well done, and I think it might be useful to have some copies for our community committees. I was very impressed with it, and at the time I thought, oh, it's one more thing to read, but it was really worthwhile reading. Well done. Thank you for including it.
Can do that.
We do have a digital copy, so we could make it extra.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Okay, I do just have one comment, and it's not about money. Going back to slide number 2, I know that we got through it pretty quickly, but I did notice when I was going through my board packet, looking at the first bullet, we use the term achievement gaps. And in many circles, we're moving away from that language because it puts a lot of responsibility on a student when really systems need to change to better serve students. So I'm wondering if we could explore using language such as opportunity gap.
Yes.
We're using that elsewhere, so it's noted.
Thank you. Sounds good. Okay. If there is nothing else, this is an action item. Is there a motion to approve the 2022-2023 first interim report, which reflects a positive certification of the district's ability to maintain fiscal solvency for the current and subsequent 2 fiscal years?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Viescaz. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. AV. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That was unanimous. Thank you. We are at item K3, notice of intent to convey a permanent easement at Greer Elementary School. Mr. Camarda.
Thank you and good evening, President Creason, members of the board, Superintendent Kern and Ms. Cunningham. Tonight's facilities item is an action item. It is the intent to convey an easement at Greer Elementary School to California American Water. The superintendent is recommending that the board adopt resolution number 4053, declaring the intent to convey a permanent easement at Greer Elementary to California American Water, and to call a public hearing to be held on January 10th of 2023. And I'm here to answer any questions that the board may have.
Thank you, Mr. Camarda. Any questions or comments from the board? I see a point. Nope. Okay. Sounds good. This is an action item. Is there a motion to adopt resolution number 4053, declaring the intent to convey a permanent easement at Greer Elementary School to California American Water, and to call a public hearing on January 10th?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Krevchek. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That was unanimous.
Thank you, President Creason. Again, this is another action item. The intent to convey an easement at Northridge Elementary School to the Fair Oaks Water Department. The superintendent is recommending that the board adopt resolution number 4055, declaring the intent to convey a permanent easement at Northridge Elementary to Fair Oaks Water District, and to also call a public hearing to be held on January 10th of 2023.
Any questions or comments from the board? Mr. Camarda just read the motion. Do I need to read it again? Is there?
I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. Miller. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Costa. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That was unanimous.
Thank you again, President Creason. Again, the superintendent is recommending that the board adopt resolution number 4057, declaring the intent to convey a permanent easement at John Barrett Middle School
to the County of Sacramento and to call a public hearing to be held on January 24th, 2023. I can answer any questions that the board may have.
Any questions or comments? Is there a motion?
I'll go ahead and move this too.
Moved by Mr. Miller, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Avey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That was unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are at item K6, Governance Handbook Annual Update. Mr. Allen.
Good evening, President Creason, members of the board, Superintendent Kern, Ms. Cunningham. We return tonight with the Governance Handbook. Our existing members, you'll recall that we did work over the summer with Ms. Costa and Mr. Hernandez to do some updates and bring that back to the board just a few weeks ago. We return tonight for our annual opportunity to take a look at the handbook and affirm it as we move forward for the next year. As the handbook does require, we do that in December of each year. So we're here tonight for any conversation and to ask for a vote to move the handbook forward for the year.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Any comments or questions from the board? Mr. Avey.
Within the handbook, I think it was on page 8 where it talks about public comment. There's nothing in there to indicate in-person comment versus virtual comment. And I was curious, is there anything in the Brown Act that prevents virtual comment? Or is this a point at which we could add that as a part of the governance structure for the board to accept virtual comment from the public?
So currently we do accept comment via written comment virtually. So I'm know we can do it certainly that way. I know there's been some changes recently in whether other forms of virtual comment are going to maintain through 2023. So we might have to do a little research there. As it's written now, there's nothing that would prevent us from doing either type of comment. So what I might suggest is that we make sure we have open language so that whatever the pleasure of the board is, we can really work through the mechanics of how to do that.
Okay, I think I would just like to recommend that we clarify that telephonic and or video conferencing be offered as an option for public comment. I can say as a parent with 4 kids, talking to a lot of other parents, it can be difficult to come down to a board meeting and sit for 2 or 3 hours to offer public comments on an item that may be very important. So I do want to consider that as an option for the governance handbook and for the board to consider.
Thank you, Mr. Avey. Mr. Miller?
Yeah, I was on same page, page 8 on the paragraph about voting no and abstaining. And this may just be my experience in other boards and councils, but we're missing the word recusal. And that's if you have a matter, you know, that you have a conflict of interest or whatever, you have to leave the room. You can't just abstain. And so that was, I thought maybe we could tweak that language a little bit to more correctly reflect the Brown Act and what you must do if you have a conflict.
Yeah, and I wonder, pardon me, Ms. Simlick, if we need to, we might need to hold off on actual action tonight, Mr. Allen, and make some of these recommend changes, look at them. Because we actually, like, I know the board just took some action recently on the actual board policy on visitor comment, and it might actually be the board policy where that would need to be addressed, Mr. Avey, and because I don't know how much weight this carries compared to the board policy. But we could have a conversation about that. I think you make a very good point, Mr. Miller. We could look at that and then potentially bring that back, Mr. Allen.
Yes, with language to recusal, I'd want to make sure that we get that right. So suggesting that you make an amendment motion tonight to do that is probably going to be a little more complicated than we want. So I would suggest that we have conversation about potential changes and that we do actually table this and bring it back at another meeting.
I think that's a good idea, but let's get through more comments. Ms. Krejcik?
Yes, I would like to add to one of the items to review is the district mission statement that's on page 3. I noticed that it was revised. It was a bit wordy before, but we did take out reference to excellence and academic rigor, and I am absolutely in support of equity and inclusion. But as a public school institution. I don't want it to be at the expense of our academics. And when I read this, I don't read it as representing a public school. If you took away the fact that this was the San Juan Unified School District, I'm not sure if you'd be able to identify that this is a mission of a school district. So I just would like to look at that and see what we can do about, particularly in light of the test scores that were just released, and wanting our kids to excel, to revisit this mission statement.
Ms. Krevchuk, do you have suggested language or did you want to come back with that at a different time?
I would like to come back with that at a different
So
time.
let me speak a little bit to the history of our mission statement. Our mission statement has been developed through strategic planning process, which has included community members, students, staff, even representation from the board. Usually that's a group of about 30 individuals. We did that 10 years ago. We did it again, maybe.
This version was roughly 4 years ago.
Okay. And one of the things that I know Mr. Allen and Ms. Basinelli have talked about is actually, as we're going through a transition of leadership as well as a transition with the board, of reconvening that entire process, likely, and I don't want to get too far ahead of it, but the best time would probably be the fall again, because it's a fairly lengthy process that we've gone through where we've gotten kind of a really representative committee together. And then even once they do some work, that's taken out into the community to have input and feedback as well. And then after all of that is done, then it's brought back to the board for final approval. That it really has been a community piece. We take it to our committees, we take it to everybody we can to provide feedback. And I think Mr. Allen feels strongly that we're ready to kind of move towards that process next fall. And that would be kind of really good work that needs to be done next year as well. So we want to have as many people involved in that process. I think it's important as we can to make sure we're showing we have community voice. That's just a little historical context.
Ms. I'm
And
sorry.
ultimately, that process does come back, whatever the work product of that process comes back to the board for approval. So for example, this information on page 3 is all board approved content that the board was presented and approved. So what I might suggest is to honor those folks who worked on this and the fact that this is board approved content. If there is an interest amongst the board to add some language about honoring and really reflecting on our academic focus and nature, that we perhaps could add an additional section to this page that references and has some language about that, if that is an interest of the board. And then we certainly will be looking to engage in that strategic planning process and really mapping that out this spring, probably engaging in that in the fall.
Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you. And I would agree that if we need to move this forward tonight, we do so in timeline, but I think there's merit to what has been discussed tonight by Ms. Krafcheck, as well as Zima mentioned. Ms. Creason, I
I'm
apologize.
still Zima. It's okay.
Madam Chair, and in our board core commitments, our number of commitment is close achievement gap, which is clearly an academic goal. So it could be as simple as that, but I agree that we should probably focus on that, and because we are in the business of educating kids, and so something to think about.
Mr. Avey?
Thank you. One other item, and I brought this up with the superintendent prior, is I'm kind of a process geek. And I think it's important for us to add the fact that we follow Robert's Rules of Order to our governance handbook. We currently do not have that in our bylaws or in the governance handbook. I think we informally follow that process when anything falls outside of what is detailed, but I do think it'd be important to highlight that in the same way CSBA does in their guidelines.
Thank you, Mr. Avey.
I can, because we've been talking about this internally as well. What are there parts of Robert's rules that you think we don't currently follow? And I think it would be better. Here's and even some of my conversations, having a better understanding why that needs to be in there and what that would look like potentially in a change for how we run these meetings. I mean, some of these board members have been here 10 years and they're going, okay, we've been, how would that look differently?
So I think tonight we had a very good example where there were two motions on the floor. And Ms. Creason sought guidance from the general counsel on which motion to adopt. The general counsel gave guidance that followed Robert's Rules of Order, but that is not specifically in our bylaws. It's not in our governance handbook. So we were acting on the guidance of general counsel rather than the parliamentary procedure agreed to by the group.
Mr. Miller?
I'm going back and forth. You see me turning my button on and off. Robert Rules of Orders really was not written for government meetings. It was more for the nonprofits and the homeowners associations and such. So there are some differences, and I was, the reason I hesitate, I was going to take this offline, but I do believe an alternate motion by Robert Rules of Order takes precedence over the original motion. So I disagree with counsel. I didn't want to do that publicly, but since we're talking about it, I respectfully disagree. So I don't know, maybe a workshop on just the procedures. I don't know that we have to incorporate them in the handbook.
Well, and I know we have a future agenda item. I believe it's the second meeting in January on the Brown Act.
Oh, the training, yeah.
Yeah, and so Ms. Simlick, is there a way that we can, even so that we have a deep understanding of what that would look like, and maybe even some of the other board members have an opportunity to, investigate and look at what that could look like, but having a deep discussion around that, we could build that in very easily into that discussion.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, so are we in agreement that we are tabling this for now? And staff will come back with consideration of the many comments and with the understanding that maybe not all of it will be taken up in this book. Some of it may be taken up in this book. We may be looking at the mission, but it might not be at this time, but we could at least establish that. Are we all good with, we're tabling it with staff to come back at a later date with more info?
I'm seeing head nods here, and I think we heard enough comments where we could try and incorporate some of these things into it, bring it back. If there needs to be more discussion, we can bring it back again.
Yeah, and I'm thinking too, that some of it, I think it's, the recusal is an easy one, I think, I think other things are going to need some more further discussion. So maybe we come back with this book and we also come back with the plan to at least discuss the other items that were brought up, and we can develop a plan together. How's that sound? Does that work for you on timeline? I know there's timelines with this book. Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Allen.
No problem.
Do you need a motion to continue?
Nope.
Okay, good.
Well, I don't think we need a motion, right?
I was just
Because it's
asking.
tabled.
No. I think we're good. Thank
Okay,
you.
good.
Thanks for asking.
No gotcha moments. Okay, we are at item L, board reports. Are there any board reports? Okay,
Man.
all right. Then we are at item M, future agenda. Do any board members wish to add any items to the future agenda? Mr. Avey?
I would like to add, where is this? A presentation on concerns regarding math in high school in the district to a future agenda. I think it's worth exploring the concern from parents that we have heard.
Now, in our, and this is the first time we've had this because we actually had some changes in here. And I think this, but our governance handbook says if the majority of the board, are there other interested board members who would agree to have, kind of share your thoughts again, Mr. Avey, exactly how you said that.
I would like a report from staff on math standards in high school and specifically looking at Rio Americano High School, different than other high schools.
Okay. Are there other board members interested in that?
I support that.
I think it'd be helpful to understand the situation. In particular, since I'm new, and of course the other two that are supporting this are new. My question when I was hearing the comments tonight was, does this go on do we have the same programs at other high schools? And so I just didn't know. So in particular, I was interested in a briefing on this item.
So what's our next step?
If,
new process of.
yeah, I really, at that point, then if we have, a majority of the board, you and I will have a conversation. We'll actually look at our timelines. I will just share with you honestly, when we look at our timelines, this can't come back on the first meeting in January, because when you look at the information that we need to gather and even when those items are due, and, so I would need to have a conversation. We would need to have a conversation with you and then really with Ms. Bassanelli. One of the things I would say is to gather this type of information and to make it worthwhile and effective for the board and the community. We want to pay due diligence to that and not just, we want to make sure what we bring to the board is worthwhile. So.
And I think you will, because I'm aware that this issue is being worked on. And so it's not being ignored. And so in my case, I'd be interested in hopefully a resolution.
Ms. Viescas.
Well, and I just think exactly to that, and Mr. Miller is, there's a reason why we don't get into specific grading practices at a site, at a department, et cetera. But what I didn't want to do was dismiss the very loud comments and from parents that we heard this evening. But what I would also hate to do is slow down any kind of work that might be happening.
Right.
This is an ongoing issue. It's not something that kind of just popped up. Staff has been working on it. I would hate our attempt to sort of agendaize it and get it on paper to slow down any of that process, and particularly given the timing. I mean, we're heading into a second semester. I think we all heard the urgency with which a lot of our parents were coming forward. So I wanted to state that as a reason why I actually wouldn't support it as an agendized item, and I would support instead the continued work that's gone forward. But I wanted to explain my reasoning and make sure that it's known that it wasn't to dismiss at all the over 10 parents, I believe I counted. I wrote down every single one of them with their specific concerns. I want to make sure people know that we did hear that, and sometimes we can slow things down inadvertently, and I would hate to be a part of that.
Mr. Miller.
Oh, yeah, just to clarify, when, I don't know if you were asking for an action item, but I really would want an update on any progress we made and where we're at with this, and kind of some background on math in general, how it's the different classes available in high school. So I don't know if you had an action item in mind.
No, it's not an action item. I am asking for a briefing. I would like to understand what's going on in general with this situation, but I think in general, is this a math curriculum district-wide question? Is this a local implementation of curriculum? We just need to understand it.
And I will say, we will continue to, we're not going to hit pause. And because we've been having discussions about this. And so again, we'll have a conversation, and I know the work at the local, there's, we talk about local control so much, and, there are benefits of it. There are some challenges to it at times, but we'll have further discussions, but that work locally will continue.
Thank you.
Did any other board members have questions? Okay, and so my comment on that issue is I want to invite my colleagues to have a conversation offline too. Because you could get a whole lot of information outside of this dais without it being agendized. I heard the call and I understand why parents, I've talked to a lot of the parents that were here, today. And so I understand, the rationale and why that's coming is like agendized. We need to talk about this, but I think I just want to remind my new colleagues, have conversations offline too, because you're gonna get a whole lot of information and we can decide what we can do. Just because it's not on the agenda does not mean that you're not going to get the information that you're looking for. You can get it offline too, and we can bring it back because obviously, it's something that needs to be addressed. Okay. Any other colleagues have future agenda items? Okay. We do not need to return to closed session. We are adjourned.
Yay.
It's like-
Fun.
Sure, yeah.